Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is David from Daveden Web Dev, and on this channel I'd like to talk about all things WordPress, especially about accessibility and dynamic data. If this is your first time here, please let me know in the comments. Let me know. I put a poll up. You can check the poll out. Which page builder do you normally use? Do you use Elementor, Bricks, Edge, or Buildarius? I know all of the builders have come a long way, especially like Elementor and all of them. They've all come a very long way now. And yeah, we are hoping for the best for all of them in 2025 and beyond. Now we are coming to more control. They're giving us more customization, more control, and yeah, we'll do good. Okay, thank you, Jimmy, the Webonaut, for like telling me it sounds good and the camera is great. Okay, thank you. All right, so are you excited to talk about Elementor today? And I will also be jumping around because I think in the last 2 days, there have been a few posts about accessibility that piqued my interest. So we'll probably just touch on them a little bit while we continue with Elementor and we'll see how it goes. Then let me just share one of them and we'll talk about it. So the first one was, let me switch my screen, from the popular content creator, Kevin Powell. I'll leave a link to the video in the description. So let me go ahead and share the video. I'll put it up in the description and in the comments. So from Kevin Powell. And the idea is that he gave a challenge for a regular card, a typical card that we normally use in web design. Like, you know, the card will have like one of those labels at the top, then it will have a heading, then some like excerpt or some descriptive text, and then a learn more or click here or some read more type of button link at the footer or at the bottom. So he gave that like challenge to several people in his community to basically see how all of them will approach building the same card. And the results he got were like all different, like lots of different approaches. And that then got everybody thinking that as much as we talk about like semantic HTML and being a professional web builder and all of these things, it is still like there is no clear-cut decision that, okay, this is the only way to go. Like, there is no, it is all about creativity and like walking the line within the boundaries, but still thinking outside the box, things like that. Because there are always so many different ways to approach the same thing. So if you say my way is the best, you'll be surprised that your way has some flaws, which maybe in the next 6 months, somebody else will come up with a better solution. And then somebody else will now see there's a flaw in that way as well. And then another person will come up with another solution. And then we keep reiterating or iterating and all of that. So that's one thing that we should just note, that it is a constant learning ground. The other thing we need to note is that don't just like be set in your ways. Always be ready to listen and to like adapt, because you can give the same information in 3 different ways, and depending on the context, they will mean completely different things. So just try to do that. The other thing that he pointed out in the video, which also I have experienced myself, he was talking about the whole AI to build cards and accessibility. And I know I've heard a lot of people, they've all been saying how AI is easy to build accessible components using AI. I agree to an extent, but I've noticed that AI, it always like, either it over-engineers things, because I think that's the same way with humans. We like to over-engineer everything. So it tends to over-engineer accessibility, either by adding ARIA information where it's not needed, or it will add maybe role equal to something when it's not needed, or it will do the right thing. Then if you tell it, oh, is there any mistake or anything, it will now change the right thing and give you a wrong thing. So it is still a hit and miss thing. Hopefully in the future we'll get there. But he showed how the thing was clearly a link. But because I guess depending on the prompt he gave the AI now went ahead and wrote role equal to button on a link element, which now defeats the purpose of it being a link, so it will still be announced wrongly to a screen reader user and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's beside the point. Today we are talking about Elementor, so we'll be checking out the new version of Elementor. Let's go ahead and read the changelog, and then from the changelog we'll go ahead and we'll test out the things that they put in the changelog. So let me switch my screen. If you're ready, let me know in the comments that you want to see the changelog and we'll go from there. But yeah, let me just go ahead and switch my screen. Okay, so they have released the Elementor version 3.31 beta, and they say it contains variables, filters. These filters are not your typical PHP filters. These are CSS filters for different color schemes and things like that. Then we have dividers, we have attributes, and more. So we'll be testing out all of the features that are announced here. So we'll see if they are working out. If there are any bugs or anything, we'll report it and so on. So the first thing is that how to get started with editor v4 alpha. So update to version 3.31. So let's go ahead and test it out. Here is my testing site. Thanks to Anne-Mike Bovile for providing the demo site for me. Let me go ahead and check the plugins. And okay, now let me just go to the plugins. I don't need to add any new plugins, so let me check all of the installed plugins. Yeah, while that is loading, okay, no, let me just zoom in a bit, just for my own self. Okay, so we have the Elementor version. Oh, okay. What site did I thought it was. Did I paste it on the wrong site? Oh no. Ah, I see. Okay. Wrong site. Let me check the other one. I thought she had set it up on this site, so maybe she set it up on the wrong other site, because we have multiple demos that she created. Let's see. Plugins. Installed plugins. Okay, Elementor Pro. Okay, this has the version 3.31 beta. Okay, so now that we have the Pro version, now we also have the free version 3.31 beta 1. So both of them are installed. Let's go ahead and now start testing out some of these features. So the first one we want to test out, oh yeah, there seems to be a competition going on. They said you can stand a chance to win a MacBook Pro. So just the rule is to first you join their social media, and then you share a creation you did with editor v4 and you tag them in it. So basically create a section or a container, like a nice looking section. Maybe it has some animations, it has some fun funky things. Then you'll put it on all of your social media platforms. So if you're on Facebook, X, Twitter, or I don't know, Mastodon or anything, you paste it there, and then you just tag Elementor so that they know that it exists. And if you can get enough views and likes and whatever, I guess that's the way you can win the MacBook Pro. I don't know how they're actually going to choose it, but yeah, let's just go ahead and yeah, you can go back and just get a MacBook Pro. Yeah, because I also want a MacBook Pro. You know, I have a Mac, but it's a Mac Studio. It would be nice to get a MacBook Pro so I can carry it around, especially because I'll be traveling, I believe, a few times this year. So I will need a handy laptop to go along with. So that would be a nice thing for me as well. Okay, let's test out the colors and the font variables. I haven't tested it out because I just got the license this morning, or the staging site. So we are testing it out together today. So let me go ahead. I just wish it was on this other site. I don't know why it was not. I know she installed it here. I don't know why it's not there. But anyway, okay. So I'll just go over to a page and I'll create, let me just create a new page. So add page. And the page will be, let's say, 3.31 demo. Publish, edit with Elementor. Let me know in the chat, when do you think Elementor will start, will fully release the version 3.3, sorry, not the version 4 of Elementor? When do you think it will be released, as a stable release? I know we have it as the alpha release for now, and I think I'm guessing that will probably be maybe 2026, something like maybe July 2026, based on the track record of the previous versions. Because I remember when we had containers, it went from alpha to beta in about 6 months or so. Then before it went to the stable release, it was another, I think, 8 months or something like that. So I think it was about a year plus before we got the final release. I can see in the chats someone is saying 2049. By that time, I guess this is not Divi. Even Divi will have been released before 2049. Yeah, we can't wait to see when it will be released. Okay, now let me switch my screen and we'll see. I need to get... Okay, first thing we'll do, before we even go into the variables and the colors, first thing we'd like to check out is that they said now when you create headers and footers, I think I saw it somewhere in the changelog. They mentioned that when we get headers and footers, they now are more accessible. So they come with the header tag and the footer tag by default. So we'll try that first, so that we just create a new header. And I will explain some things why we do that. And then we'll go ahead and check out the other elements. So first we'll create it. Let me just close this other one. Put it there. So the first thing we do is create a new header. So if you are an Elementor user, I don't know if you actually know this. If you press Ctrl E, you get to the Elementor Finder. And then you can simply search for maybe header. And it will take you to the theme builder. So I know I always say I use Command UI, because which is what I use mostly. If I press Ctrl K, it opens Command UI and I can go to the same place with the search. But if you're an Elementor user, they have that command palette and it works, I think, everywhere. So whether you're on the front end, the back end, it's almost like the Command UI. It works everywhere and you can jump to Elementor specific pages. So Elementor settings, Elementor global styles, and so on. So you just press Ctrl E. Okay, let me see. I'm active. Ctrl E. Oh, I just mentioned it now. It's not working. Oh, well, I guess because I'm already in the theme builder. Let's first create a new header. So let's see if that works. I want to create a header. And let's close this up. And let's see if I go to the settings. Let me see if it goes to header by default. So yeah, the HTML tag is set as header by default. Previously, it would be set as a div, which was not worth it. But now, it will be set as a header by default. So we can now go ahead and just drop in our... I want to be using the version 4 elements now. So let me say I'll use the container, or maybe... Yeah. Which one is better? Any of them, I think they're all the same. So Flexbox, I'll give it a class name of maybe header or site header. Within the Flexbox, I'll drop in another Flexbox. That will be my inner. I already have one called inner, so I'll put that in. And we can now go ahead, or I don't need to put inner. Let me use a new class name here. So I'll call it header, site header inner. Naming classes is always hard, but some people have mastered the art of naming classes, but for me it's still always a difficult thing to do. So I'll just put also header or inner. Let's just put it two of them. Then I can overwrite whatever was written in the inner, can overwrite it in the site header. And I think the only thing I want to overwrite is the top and bottom padding. So that will be under spacing. And okay, does it show it? Yeah, style origin. Let's see. Okay, the origin is taken. Inner has auto for the left and right margin. Then for the padding, it has. I'm not sure. Okay, did I not put the padding? Maybe I didn't. But let's just go to the padding. Let's just add the image first. So I'm just creating the structure. Let me open the inspector so we can see what exactly is going on. So we have the Flexbox and then another inner Flexbox or div or whatever you want to put in. So let's say this is the site header. Let me name it site header. Oh yeah, okay. Let me disable something. Shift. Okay. And within the site header, we have our inner wrapper. And then within the inner wrapper, I'm just trying to say something typical like this, where we have the logo on the left and the set of navigation links on the right. So I'll put an image. And I'll put the menu widget because we don't have any new menu widget. It's still only the version 3 menu. So let me put that. I would advocate that you should not use this WordPress menu. The WordPress menu, that is the other one. What's it called? Let me write menu. The old WordPress menu, generally I would not use it because of how it is outputting the code. I don't really like the way it outputs the code. I don't know if you have changed it yet. Let me just go ahead and even drop in that and see what it shows. So let's say we have the menu. Let me choose primary. Add condition, entire site, save and close. I need to disable the other header. So let's look for go to templates, theme builder. And I want to disable the other header. Where was it? Home header. Yeah, I just need to disable all of these or delete them. I don't need them. Trash. They'll trash all of those old ones and they just keep only the new header. So yeah, this new header will be entire site. Okay. So let's go ahead and just preview it on the front end and I'll show why I don't really like the header. So let's go to home. Okay. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and we'll go from there. But if I inspect it, one thing I don't like, I don't know if they've changed it, is that basically they create 2 nav regions instead of 1. So you have a nav, then we have the button, and then we have and the button is even a div, not a button, and then we have another nav. I don't really like that approach because it now creates unnecessary noise to a screen reader user, because the screen reader user will hear that there are 2 navs. One of them would be, oh, I see what they did. They put aria hidden equal to true so that it hides the nav. So it looks like it doesn't exist on the page. And then only the first nav will show up. But I don't really like this approach. I prefer, because a nav is a sectioning element. So what's happening is that you put a nav, then everything that relates to that nav, you put it inside of that container. It's almost like having a section, and then you put all of your elements that relate to the section, maybe your pricing section, everything that relates to pricing, you put it into that pricing section. You don't put the pricing section, then outside of that group, you now put the actual prices. It now defeats the purpose that you've said this is a section for pricing. So everything that should relate to pricing should be in that section. Same thing with the nav. You've said this is my primary navigation. So everything that relates to primary navigation should be in the wrapper container called nav. So that's why I don't really like the old WordPress nav. But the new one, I think the output is a little bit better, or is much better, I mean, sorry. If I inspect it, you see that we only have one nav element and everything is like set up in that one nav. So the screen reader user, when they use their shortcut keys, or anybody who has some kind of assistive technology that can skip through different regions, they can easily just get there and they know exactly what they have. But that is outside of the point. Let's continue. Okay, yeah. So we have the image, we have our menu or our navigation. The next thing we need to do now is actually add some elements. So I think this is the new, no, sorry, this is the old image widget. I need to use everything as the new widget wherever possible, just to show the power of the widgets. So this is the new one. With the new widgets, we have just two. Maybe they will add an extra one, but for now we have just two tabs. The first is general, then style. General, everything in general has to do with the HTML. Everything with CSS has to do with the style. So just keep that in mind. Then let me go ahead and select my image. And do I have any logo here? I doubt it. Interesting. Yeah, because I didn't plan for this website somehow. Upload. And let's see, where do I have my images? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I've uploaded my image. So let's say I'm using these developers as my logo. Let me just add that. Oh, okay, I need to crop it somehow. Select image. It is looking, edit image. But because it's an SVG, I can't edit it. Oh, I did not plan properly for this. So let me use the other one and see if that's better. Maybe this. It's a WebP, okay. So we have the image. I can now go to style, and basically, like I said, everything that has to do with the style goes into the style tab. So if I want to change the width and the height of the image, all I have to just go in the style tab. I'll go over to size, and then I'll say maybe the width should be 100%, but notice that I didn't have to click on the unit to get the unit. The moment you press the unit, like percentage, it will automatically change to percentage. You don't have to click on the drop down to select the unit. That's not necessary. So let's say the max width now will be something like 120 pixels. Then for the inner, I want it to be a flex. The direction should be row, and I want them to be aligned to the center. Then, so we have our image, our link. For your image, usually, whenever you have a logo as a logo, and the logo has text, typically your logo has the text which is linking, like which is describing your whenever you have any logo, most people's logo, if you check anybody's website, if you go to like W3C, you go to even Edge, or you go to Elementor's website, all of them, their logo tends to have their name in their logo. So whenever you have a visible text as the name in your logo, that text must be reflected in your alt text of the image. So now in this image, I'm assuming that the website is called Developers. That's the name of the website. So for your alt text of your logo, the thing you need to remember is, first, is the logo doing any function? Let me show you what I mean. Let's expand this, and you'd see, well, let's see. Okay. So the first question you have to ask yourself about images is that, is the image providing information? Okay, yes, it's providing information. Okay, what is it type of information? Is it performing an action like a functional image? If it's performing an action, then you describe the action in the link. But then if the link also has visible text, then you also have to add that visible text into your link. So the best way to link your images is, like your logo images, is to say something like, let me go back to the image. I know I'm going and rambling right now, but basically whenever you want to add the alt text for your logo, it's basically going to say what is the visible text and then where exactly is the link going. Usually they all relate together. So you would say something like the visible text is developers and it's going to the home page of that developers. So the developers is the name of the site and it's also the visible text in the link. And then where is it going to? It's going to the home page. So you just put the developers homepage. You don't have to add logo, because even in the information for images, I will leave a link to this W3C docs where they talk about images and so many things about images. You see that what they wrote for image of text used as, in this case, on linked image, but I'm just going to give as an example. You see they say that there is no need to mention that it is a logo, because it's a logo. They already know it's a logo, so you don't need to mention again in the logo that it is a logo. Just put the name of the visible text. In this case, you see Web Accessibility Initiative, and then because it's not an unlinked image, it's a linked image, you don't have to follow the other way, which is where is it going to? The home page. So you have to put either home or home page in your alt text. So yeah, that's just something you need to remember. So developers homepage, select that. Then we can go ahead and add our links. Let me see. The first link is maybe, typically you don't really need to put home, but I think based on user experience, sometimes they like to see a link called home to know that that is where they used to go home, but you don't really need that. But I'm just going to be adding random links. Just put title home and put the link should be Ash. Then let me add the next one. I'll say contact. I'm not actually styling anything in the header section. What we're just doing is testing out all of the new features that we added. So I'm just going to quickly just add some random links. And let's say the other one is blog. And I'll drop in a link. Okay. Then I can say I want it to be space between and publish. I know my design doesn't look nice for now, but yeah, that's it. Let's say that this is how our header is. What broke? Let me see. Let me make sure, because I haven't tested what is on this site. So first I'll go to my site header. Make sure I have my framework thing here. Okay. Core framework. How is the styles? It's using DD spacing. Okay, so it's using wrapper as the name. So for the site header, I've given it a class, and that one I'll just say everything is zeroed out. Everything is not, there's no need for anything. Then for the inner, let me say the width is under the size. So let me close all of this. Accordions. First, the width is 100%. The max width is, I'm going to use a variable, so I'll say VAR. No, I think it's, oh sorry, it's custom. I forgot. Custom, you have to press C to go to custom, which is the pencil icon. I thought it would be VAR, but it's C. And then you say, I'll just put my variable. Then, okay, then the margins should be left and right auto. Okay, on link. So let's see how it looks like on the front end. Okay, so it's looking proper. It's looking okay. I think sometimes in the builder, it's not looking as I expect. I think I'm not sure what happened. It looks like it's going off screen, but it's actually not going off screen. It is okay, but I'm not sure why. Let me refresh the page. See, in the builder, it's going off screen, but when I go to the front end, it is okay. Let me inspect it and see if anything breaks. Yeah. On the front end is okay, but in the builder it's going off screen. I don't know why that's happening. But yeah, that's it for the header section. Now let's go ahead and exit. And let me go to a page. So go to a page, which is my demo 3.31 demo. Yeah, but yeah, I think I'm zoomed in, but I'm zoomed in both screenshots are zoomed in, so I don't know why one is breaking and the other is not. Because here is also the same level of zoom. This is 150 or 125, and the other one too is the same. So it should ideally be the same thing. Oh, okay. Yeah, should be the same thing. I don't know why it's not. So I guess they want me to always be on 100% in the builder, and then I can zoom in on the front end however I want. I guess that's the idea. Well, yeah, that aside, let's just continue. So the first thing we do now is to test out all of the new features that we added. So the first one I said is this is the editor, then colors and font variables. So let me see. I haven't actually tried it out, so let's see what it means. How to use it. They say, let me zoom in for anybody watching at home. It says, hover over a text or color control, e.g. background color or font family. Click the variable icon to create or assign a variable. Name the variable and choose its value. Reuse the variable in multiple elements, classes, and across pages. Update the variable once to reflect the change everywhere it's used. So let's see if it works. So I'll go to a control. Then I'll go ahead and drop in my section. This is going to have the section class. And within it, I'll drop in my div block. Make sure the inspector is open to the div. I have a class name called inner. Then, yeah, so it's working out properly. So I have to not zoom in. Basically, in the editor, I can't zoom in because everything will break. So yeah, you're right. That whenever I zoom in the editor, it breaks. So they have to fix that because it shouldn't break. It should work normally, even in the editor. So when I zoom, so I have to zoom out to 100%. Then, okay, I can go ahead and drop in what needs a color now. Let's see. Let's add text. So heading. And let's go ahead and add some colors and see if we can add back the variables in the colors. So I'll go over to where's the typography? And this is going to be very hard for me because I need to zoom in to at least 125% to see. So I'll keep zooming in and then the layout will keep breaking, but then we'll see it well on the front end, I guess. I guess that's the way we have to go. So I zoom in, then we'll change the color of the typography. Can we choose hex? So how did they say we do it? It says to choose a variable. How do we choose a variable? I see hex, I see HSL, and I see RGB. Let me go back and see what they say. Click the variables icon. Okay, so I should hover and then click. Oh. Okay, so I have to hover and then go up. Well, then this now breaks a bit of, because if my mouse is not in the input until I get to the variable, it disappears. So like if I'm just hovering here and then I mistakenly go over, it disappears. It has to be on the highlighted text. Then I have to go with my mouse into the variable before I get to the variable. That's, to me, that now basically makes it harder for me to access it if my maybe my hand coordination is not that good. That means it will be hard for me to access it as a mouse user who isn't really coordinated in their hand movement. Like, let's say I'm using the Wacom tablet or something that's not a regular mouse, then it will be difficult for me. So if I go to typography, I have to go like that and then click before I get the variable. I thought it would just pop up in the color section that I can just choose a variable and use, but I guess that's not it. Okay, so we have to click on that and then create a variable. Let's see, I'll give it a name as DJ primary, and the value will be hashtag 77. Oh no, let me look for something blue. Red will be 00. Okay, something like that. Create. Okay, so now the color is that variable. Let's go ahead and add in a new element. Let's say paragraph element, and I'll do the same thing. Go to the style tab, and maybe this time, let's say I want to put it as a background color. So I'll go to background, and then same thing, I have to go to the colors and choose it, and you see the background color gets that variable. The last thing we'll check is it reflected the same way we have it in the backend? Is it reflected on the front end as our names? Because I gave it a name which was called DJ-primary. Let's see if that is the name that's reflected on the front end. I'll publish, preview on the front end. Okay, so let's go ahead and inspect it. And let's see. Yes, so it uses the exact name that we had, DJ-primary. Yeah, so Elementor are doing well. They are following our standard, not giving us random attributes. So that, yeah, this is really good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Just that the controls are a bit not how I normally would use controls, because having to always know that there's an icon at the top there that I have to now move my mouse over to hit that icon. Same thing with the dynamic tags, where they put the icon at the top somewhere. So it is there, but it's not there in the link. And if your mouse goes away before getting to the dynamic tag, then it disappears. So I think that should be modified a little bit. I'm not sure. But what do you guys think? Are you happy with the way the stack is like hovering over the top? Or do you think it should be a bit more, like, get more access to it? I don't know. But yeah, that's just me. Okay. So let's go ahead and create other variables. And let me see if I can even put a variable in a variable. Let's see. So let's say I create a new one. And this one is going to be called maybe DJ secondary. And let's see if I can put the value as a var again. Var DD. Let's see. Create. Okay, so technically, okay, I get it. So you can create a variable, but you cannot like assign a variable to another variable, at least for the colors. We'll see for other ones like the text font size, but for the colors, you cannot assign one variable as another variable. So you can't say var DJ secondary should now be equal to var DD or DJ primary. If I try to create, wrong name. It will not allow me, so I have to basically choose from one of these colors, which, okay, it's not too bad. It's not bad, because you can still choose your HSL or your RGB or your hex. But I think the only limitation now is, I know some people have started using higher like a different color scheme. Like maybe you want to use RGBA. Is it possible? Okay, yes, it's possible to use RGBA. Or you want to use like OKCLH or OKLCH. Let's look at all the color spaces that we have. I know some people are always going cutting edge and looking at different color spaces for CSS. Let's look at, is it the color space? Or am I in the right thing? No. color, is it spaces or let's say hex, HSL, OKLCH, and the rest of them. Okay, it doesn't just give me all of them at once. I thought I could get. Let's just go through something like ChatGPT and get some of the answers. Let's say Claude or ChatGPT. HSL, OKL, CH, and so on. I don't know. Let's see what it gives us. Because there's always a restriction. If you cannot write your exact value yourself, there's always going to be a restriction. You're basically restricted in a way. So there's RGB, there's HSL, there is what else? You can use the straightforward syntax like red, blue, green. You can use HWB, which are more modern color spaces. There is the lab, there's the LCH, OKLCH, OKLab. There are other ones for other display. I think these ones are not yet fully compatible because only few screens actually use display P3 and the rest of them. But yeah, so we cannot do any of these for now with the current implementation, but that's just a tiny limitation, I think. I don't know. What do you think? Is it a major setback or is it a minor setback? But it's very good now that we can use variables however we want. So we can put any variable name and that name will be reflected on the front end. The only limitation is that we cannot like use anything custom as the value for the variable. But yeah, okay. So let's say I create the next one. Okay. Then publish. And the colors are very weird. I'm sorry, but I'm just doing some random tests for colors. Now let me go to a new page. So I'll create a new page. And this page will be called demo 2. Publish, edit with Elementor. Then we'll do the same test again. So I'll drop another section. Then Flexbox. So Flexbox inside of a Flexbox. The first one will be given the class name of section. I created this in one of my other live streams, so that I'm just reusing the class name I created before. And the inner one will be called inner. Let's see, what did I put as the size? Okay, I shouldn't have used that. Maybe that's why it was breaking. Okay, publish. Okay, then I'll go ahead and drop in another new heading. And let's see. Oh no, wrong heading. The class 3 and class 4, I always mix them up. This is the version 4 elements, the one with the infinity sign or the, I don't know what to call that sign. Then let me go ahead and add in a heading. Go to the maybe background, choose the icon, variables, and you see my variables are still there in the variable manager. So I can just go ahead and put it in and it becomes the new color. If I want to add a new color for the typography, just go to typography. Then I'll go to colors. Then let me click on that icon. And this time I'll create a new one. And I'll call this one DJ Light. And that will just be FFF create. Okay, yeah. So you see, the colors, the variables are all working. You can move them across pages and they are still working. The only limitation is that you can't define anything custom as the value of the variable. It has to be one of those predefined color schemes, so that the hex or the RGB or the HSL. Yeah, but I think those are the most popular ones that people use currently, so it doesn't really matter. So let's go. If I inspect it, you see the H2, it has that DJ light as the color variable and then DJ primary as the background color. So what this now allows you to do is it gives you more consistency, because now if I want to change it, so let's say I change it from this page, I go ahead and say I want to change my color. So rather than having this green color, I can go and edit it and say maybe this time I want it to be blue. So I'll say something like maybe FF, or let's see, something like this color. So now it's a bright, I don't know what, pink, or what's this color? Publish. Then I can go to my other page and refresh it, and the color variable should reflect there as well, so which is nice. You see now it changes the color in my second page to the same bright pink color that I chose. So now that's how you can easily create manageable links. Previously in the version 3 elements, you'd have had to go to your settings, your site settings, and then you go ahead and create global colors there. And if you want to ever manage the global colors, you have to go back to your site settings. But now from any page you are, all you have to just do is go to actually where the color is, click edit, and then edit it. Previously, even when you are in the color you want to edit, you'd have had to now still go to the site settings first to change the colors there before it reflects where you want to reflect it. So that was a long thing. And what this now gives you as an added bonus is that since it is defined in this way of global colors, you can use it in your custom CSS and just refer to the name that you put, and that's it. You can use the colors even in your custom variables, which now means that you can simply create your own CSS framework from like a full CSS framework. You can create it now with ease. We only test out now the typography to see if that works as well. So let me switch. We've tested out the colors. They said the next one is that we can use the variables as also as colors. Let me see what as typography. So let's see. Variables with global classes. So yeah, you can assign a variable to a global class, and then whenever you want to reuse that color, so you're basically creating utility classes. You can create utility classes by creating classes that have just specific colors, and then those colors will be assigned to those classes. So whenever you need to use the color, you can just use that class, or you can define it however you like, but you can mix and match both of them basically. Then what is the one for the typography? Let's see if that works. So let's say for the typography, let me go ahead and first change the color back. So I'll go to the background color and just light, and or let me even just remove the background color completely. How do we delete that? Interesting. How do I? Okay. Wait, how do you actually delete the color? So on link and delete. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So for the, so let's say the actual color is the bright pink, but then the background color is removed. Now let's see for the typography. So font family, does it give you variables for that? Let's see. Okay, so you can create variables for everything. So for the font family, you can create a variable, name and value. The value is basically you specify the value as one of the directly given elements. So what Elementor is doing, now I understand what they're doing, is basically you can assign a variable, but you still rely on their UI to like choose the value. You are given the opportunity. It's just basically taking out what we had in global colors and global typography and bringing it more toward the users, like toward your editing experience, to make it not in a magic area but in a easy to access area. But the added advantage is that now you can name it the way you want. So you take your global colors before, you have to name it a name like primary, but in the back end it will be named with like some XYZ gibberish E global color something XY something. But now it will be named the way you name it, but you're still restricted. You're not given control over the actual output. The actual output, you still have to follow the UI. So I think for most users, it should be good enough. It's only when you're trying to get something more custom, then you might be stranded a little bit. But I think for most users, that is a nice way to go. So let me switch back. So you see, I'm trying to choose the font family. If I click on the variable icon, it will tell me that I should click the variables, yeah. Then if I want to create a variable, the only thing I can choose is from the predefined fonts. I cannot like just write the name of the font myself. I have to choose from the predefined fonts. So that is something that you have to bear in mind. Let me see. Are there any comments? Okay, so yeah, the comment says I have to refresh my chat because it's not showing up on my screen. So let me just go ahead and refresh my chat and make sure that it is showing up. Okay, so chat, disconnect. And let me go ahead and reconnect it. Yeah, sorry about this. I'm just trying to make sure that I can see the chat. The thing just decided to disconnect after a while for some unknown reason. So select. Okay, so links, preview. Okay. Okay, so the chat says that since when have they been working on the new version of Elementor? Because they are surprised that it's going to be out in 2026. Yeah, it started in, I think it's 3 months ago, right, or something. When did it start? It started, first we were introduced to that the version 4 was coming out in January. Then we got it in, I think it was 2 months ago or so, with the new version 3.28, 29. Then we got it, and then they've just been updating it a little by little, adding some few features, because I think the whole idea is that first they'll start with the core features, then they'll keep improving. So from that, initially they brought in just the heading elements, then the paragraph element, and so many of these other simple elements. Then they'll keep iterating and making it better and better until next year. Then the version 4 should be released. I think it should be next year. But yeah. Exactly, yes. So it's just about 3 months ago or 2 months ago, I can't remember. But yeah, let's see the other features that were there. So we have the variables for the font family. So you can choose variables for font family. For the font weight, no. So only for the font family we can add variables for those. I think for other things, font size. Okay, so it's only colors and font family. The font size doesn't seem to have any, or font weight doesn't seem to have any of that tag that shows up. The variable tag only shows up on the font family. Font weight, nothing. Font size, nothing. So we can still assign variables to font sizes. Oh, that's a bummer. Unless I'm missing something out. So let's see. Variable, create a new variable. My first font. The value is Arial. Then the font weight. Okay, so basically it's only for the font family. That's really not that necessary, I think. Or am I missing something? That you can only set variables for font family, but not for the font size and the font weight. Maybe that'll be in the new version, or maybe something broke. But yeah, basically right now you can set for colors and font family. That's all. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they are doing well. They're doing a good job making everything from scratch. That now everything is more keyboard accessible, because see, if I can use only my keyboard to access all of the inputs. So you see, right now I'm on the class manager. If I press the tab key, I'm on the local class, although it's not that visible. There should be a very thick outline, not just the background color. If you just change the color of the background, it's not enough. You need something like an outline. That's the easiest way, because some people are not really, they can't really see the color to differentiate that the color changed that much, which is why it's always good to put an outline on everything that you are focusing on. Right now, if I focus on the class, it's focused on the local, but it looks the same. Then now, okay, the other one has an outline, which is the 3 dots. Then we have, what else? What else do we have? And so on. So yeah, basically it is more keyboard accessible. So I can literally access everything directly with my keyboard. Although I'm seeing some weird, okay. Okay. But the focus was not following as I move down to the bottom. Okay, yeah, maybe it's just me. But yeah, okay. So that's for the variables. The variables are working. The other thing that they added was, for the pro version, they added attributes, which is something that I've been hoping for. So that's one thing I will also test out now. Let's see, where do we add the attributes? Let me go ahead and search for attributes in their documentation. Okay, so add semantic markup using or with attributes. So how do we do that? In Elementor 3.31, they have introduced a structured attribute repeater for all v4 elements by formalizing how custom HTML attributes are entered. This control ensures clean output and fewer errors, while laying the foundation for future logic-based enhancements. So how do we add it? They didn't really mention it, so let's go to the general tab and see if there's any attributes added. Okay, yeah, so it's under settings. We now have tag, link, ID, and attributes. If I click on the attribute, it opens a pop-up. And so for that pop-up, let me say I want to add area label equal to, no, sorry, area label, the value I want it to be, this is not a title. Let's see what it shows. Publish. I'll preview it on the front end. Inspect it. And we have the H2 and the area label. Oh, shoot. What did I do wrong? I think something is broken. I put, my area label was, if I look at it again, it says this is not a title, but it's returned the area label as area label equal to this. Then it's not a title, it's just another attribute. So I think something broke. So maybe I have to use quotation marks, I'm guessing, to make it a string. Let's see if that works. Publish. Nope. So yeah, it's still broken. So there is a tiny bug with the attributes. The attributes only allow you to add one string. It doesn't allow you to add multiple, like one word. You can't add multiple words. It breaks the words up as a separate attribute. So that is something buggy there. Okay, see, area label equal to this, then put my first quotation, and every other thing after that is not working. So yeah, they need to fix it. Let me see if I can put another dynamic tag and see if that works. If I put a dynamic tag and say maybe the post title, publish, will that work? No, it's still not working. No, yeah, it's working, because the the name of the page is just the name of the page is demo2, but what was outputted on the front end was demo, and then 2 became a new attribute. So it is broken, definitely broken. So there's a bug there. I'll report it after the live stream. Then let's look at what was the next thing that was added. Let's close that. And I think they said CSS filters. Let me search for filter. So we have filters and backdrop filters, then divider element, class manager enhancements, inherited values, and then the attributes. We've checked out the attributes. That is currently broken. It has a bug. Then the colors, the variables, we have seen that only colors and the font family. The other things are not yet connected. Only colors and font family. Then for the filters and backdrop filter, let's go ahead and see that. So let's see filters and backdrop filters. So if I go to the style tab, let me use, I think I'll use an image for that. So let's say an image. So I have both of them in the same page, the Flexbox. Let's go ahead and give it a local class, and I want it to just go direction column. Okay. So for the image, let's go ahead and add a new image. Maybe this person's random face. I want to add filters. So the filters will be under the style tab, under effects. Yes, under effects. And we get our filters. So if I click on the plus icon, so everything is a pop-up basically. Elementor have opted for using pop-ups for, or like popovers, I mean, for all of their inputs. So you can add blur, you can add brightness, contrast, hue, rotate, saturate, grayscale, and let's say I want to make it 100% grayscale, so it turns it to black and white. Or I can say I want sepia tone, put it at 50% or 80%. Yeah, it works. Then let's see, can I add more? So that's the first one. If I click on the plus icon, then it creates a new one. And this one I can say maybe I want it to be brightness should be reduced a bit. The brightness should be about 90 or 60%. Then add a new one, and this time I want it to be having a drop shadow. Okay, and the drop shadow, can I use variables there? Yes. So I can use my color variables in the drop shadow. Okay, yeah. It looks ugly, but yeah, it works. So ignore my visuals. I'm just dropping random effects, but yeah, they work. So you can add CSS filters and you can layer them. So you can add multiple CSS filters, and I believe you should be able to rearrange them. So under the, am I on the image? Okay. Filters. Wait, where are all the filters? Something just went wrong somewhere. So let's see. Let me try again. 40% or 4%. And let's say sepia tone. No, I don't need that. Let's say saturate. No, I've already done that. Blur should be 4 pixel blur or 2 pixels. Okay. So if I deselect it and I reselect, okay, still there. I don't know why the first time the filters disappeared somehow. But now they're showing up. Okay, yeah, they're still showing up. Okay, so that works. So we can add the filters, and let's say for the background, so let's give the section first a background. Let me give it a background image. This is background color, overlay. And let's say I overlay it with a random image. Then for the container itself, the Flexbox, let me go ahead and add a backdrop filter. So go to effects and backdrop filter. So that should be blur. Yep, it's working. So you can add your backdrop filter. So you can basically create that frosted glass kind of style easily using the backdrop filter directly without having to write any custom CSS. And yeah, this is looking good. This is looking good. So Elementor are getting better, just that they have a few bugs and not enough information for these variables. The variables are only connected to colors and font family for now. The attributes are broken. You can only accept one word like true or false. You cannot accept a string, so you can't really add area label and all of those for now. Then what else? Let's check out the divider element. That's a new element they've added again, I think. So I'll click on the plus icon and look for divider. So that's a new element. I'll drop it in and publish. Let's go ahead and inspect what the element is actually using. Inspect it on the front end, and it is using, okay, it's using the HR tag. I guess that's the correct tag to use. I don't know. For your divider lines, I guess the HR tag. I think HR means you're trying to divide two sections, between two sections. So I guess, yeah, maybe that's the best they can use. Can they style it? Let's see. The divider line, can I change the width and the height under the layout or under size? If I say the width is just 20, okay. Yeah, I can change the width, and the height is currently 1 pixel. I can make it thicker, 20 pixels. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it looks okay. So border, can I put the border radius? Will it work? Okay, so yeah, border radius works as well. And yeah, you can get your nice divider line. The only thing that I don't know why, because if I zoom in, my screen always breaks. Elementor needs to fix that. I should be able to zoom this on the screen, and it should basically readjust to what's it called? The edit area should be fluid, not a fixed value that makes me not able to zoom. I don't know. Maybe that's the best way for editors to be, but I don't think it should be like that. I think the editor should be able to shrink in comparison to our zoom level or something. I don't know. Something better than this. But yeah, okay. So that is it. So we've gone through the features that we added in Elementor 3.31. I will wait for them to fix the bugs. Then I will do a proper video about it. If you have any questions, any comments, please let me know in the comment section. But this is just basically all I think that we added in 3.31. I don't think there's any other major feature that was added in 3.31 for now. But there, remember, you can win a MacBook Pro. They have a competition going on. Yeah. So you can go ahead and try to win it. Yeah. But yeah, let me see. The other thing I wanted to talk about is something I also saw again recently. Yeah, thank you very much, Jimmy. Thank you. So now I'm done with Elementor generally. So if anybody has any questions, just ask me. Then I can go ahead and test it out and see if there are any other bugs or any other thing that needs improvements. We can test it out together, and we'll go on from there. The other thing that I noticed is something I was watching yesterday. I spoke to one of my friends about it, and that is about another video I saw, the accessibility show by Joe Dolson and Nathan Wrigley. They were talking about from automated testing to expert tweaks on the No Script Show website. If you don't know what the No Script Show website is, you just literally search for noscript.show. And it's a website that was created by David. He basically just explores different ways you can create components using HTML and CSS with maybe a tiny bit of JavaScript, but basically just focused on HTML and CSS, and they were now going through his website to see what can be improved. So they've given him some suggestions on some things that can be improved. And that just goes to show how, like, there's always room for improvement with any, like, website. You don't just believe that your website is the best, that, oh yeah, you followed all the rules and regulations and all of that. There's always room for improvement. So even with page builders, no page builder is the perfect page builder. All of them have room for improvements. There's always going to be bugs and new features that can be added and things like that. So you make your own decision yourself when, like, choosing page builder. Don't just rely on content creators like us to give you the decision. We will only tell you, like, what we've tested out and what we've experienced. We'll give you our unbiased opinions, or sometimes our biased opinions, but then it's still your job to sift through the weeds and choose what works best for you and keep improving. Don't just stay stagnant, because the moment you stay stagnant, you go behind. So see, like Elementor, they're trying not to stay stagnant. That's why they came up with, first we moved from sections and columns to containers, and then now we're moving to the version 4 elements, and they just keep iterating and making it better. Because if you start from one point and then you say you want to stop there and you're not doing any improvements, you basically will you'll be lagging behind. So you have to keep making improvements, keep getting better, and yeah, and that's it. So yeah, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, let me know in the comment section. If nothing, then I'll see you all in my videos, and we'll see you in the next live stream, which would be next week. So yeah, just give it a minute and we'll call it a day. So yeah, let me just give it a minute. So if you're not, let me just be showing you the video, and it's just basically the accessibility show by Joe Dolson. If you don't know Joe Dolson, he's one of the core committers for accessibility in WordPress. So they're constantly making improvements to accessibility in WordPress. And it showed so many things that we wouldn't even realize. Like, one of the things that he mentioned was related to accessibility, like in terms of how sometimes we get some things wrong, in that we over-engineer accessibility. So what do I mean by that? That sometimes you either put too much information in your area label that you're trying to make a screen reader user understand the context better, but then you are neglecting visual users. So you are giving more information to screen reader users than the visual users. That's also a problem. If you are giving more information to visual users than to screen reader users, that's a problem. So you need to have that balance, that if you're trying to convey information, you're conveying information in a way that you're not excluding any set of people. You're not saying screen reader users should have a better experience than non-screen reader users, or you're not saying the mouse users should have better experience than the keyboard users. Your job is to try to make the experience universal. So that's where you get user feedback. People come and tell you, oh, I'm having problem with maybe like I've just shown with the Elementors, their interface. I'm having problem with the interface. Then if it is possible, they can make some adjustments to improve the interface. That will not just only help me, it will also help so many other people. And then they make sure that they're not trying to make one group of people be more predominant than the other. Like, you're not giving more preference to one group of people than the other. You're not saying women should have more rights than the men, or men should have more rights than the women. You're not saying children should have more rights than the adults, or adults should have more rights than the children on your website. You're trying to give them equal opportunity to access your website, unless your website is something that relates to some kind of things. You're trying to make sure that everybody gets equal access to your information, not one person getting more access than the other. Because I've seen some cases where somebody is trying to like put a version number. So they'll say something like, visually, all they'll just write is 0.1 or maybe 12.5 visually, not without any context. They just put 12.5. But in the area label, they'll say something like maybe This is the latest version, 12.5, that was released yesterday. It is an improvement in XYZ, but visually all you just write is 12.5. So you have given the visual users less information than you're giving the screen reader users. That is not a good thing. You should make sure that there is a balance. So those always test with your real world users and see how they interact. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you to Jimmy for joining in, and to the rest of you all that were able to join in the live stream. You may not have said anything in the chat, but you were there in the live stream, so I want to say thank you. If you're watching the replay, let me know any kind of improvements you may want in the way I present the live stream. And yeah, that's it. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.